What can a man do against such reckless hate? Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. Guys, today we're doing the Separatist Faction Faction Essentials. I feel like I always forget the name of this. It is... Oh yeah, we made the F-word joke last time. We won't do that again this time because that's canned humor, not trying to do it. So, and candorous is not actually part of this anyways. So, well guys, we're talking today about the Separatists that aren't droids because there's just too much to unpack here if we do everything. So it's going to be Geos and then like kind of the misfits of the faction. It's a really good faction. One of the few factions, I think this is the first faction I ever personally had fully relicked, and not, so it's going to be tough as well because normally I try to distill it down and say we don't need to worry about this character, but all of them are actually worth looking at. So we're going to look at some of the team comps, how to mod some of these characters, going to look at Geos as a faction and how they can be used, despite the fact that I don't necessarily love using them. Anyways, I think know how to use them fine at this point, but there's a lot of things going on. So first off, let's talk about Geos as a faction because they're kind of separate from the rest of them. The rest of them do go well together. The first thing you need to know, because this is going to be for all of the different levels of people playing, advanced endgame players and for newer players, I'll give a little bit more overview than most would maybe find absolutely necessary. So Geos are good because of how resilient they are. If you have the Brute Alpha with the team, he gives them a thing called, Hive Mind, I believe it's called. Yeah, Hive Mind. So what happens is when one Geo makes a move or takes an action during their turn, all other Geos who aren't like dazed or stunned or whatever, all of them who are available to do it will make an attack. It'll do less damage, but they'll make an attack, and all of them have a different thing that they do on their basics, so you can get a lot of good debuffs, or you can dispel. You have a bunch of different ways to get rid of debuffs on yourself, ways to heal. You have with Brood Alpha, and he's the toughest to farm, but by far the most effective to farm and the best way to spend gear. You get a second character called a Brute. So he is going to be there. He every time he does a basic, he taunts, which is great. And if you want to talk about gear efficiency, the number one character in the whole game almost that you're going to get the most bang for your buck for gear is the Brute, the Brute Alpha / Brute, just because your stats from the Brute Alpha are going to go into the Brute as well. So if you have a Gear 8 Brute Alpha, you're going to have a Gear 8 Brute. And one thing to keep in mind, guys, with that specific thing in mind, the way you want to mod Brood Alpha, there's a few different ways to go. One thing to keep in mind, and this is something I just recently found out, is the Brute is all based on the stats of the Brood Alpha, but one of the stats that is never taken into consideration with Geos, or with this Brood Alpha, it's like a tongue twister from hell. Though, actually, I feel like a tongue twister from hell could actually be a lot worse. But, anyways, let's not find out, shall we? We're going to want health as the stat. Protection is not used as a stat for for the Brute's stats. They just take the Brute Alpha stats. So you can see I don't have any 6Es on him. Geos, they're kind of, frankly, in the game, they're a little bit devalued more and more. Now that our bigger divisions have been set up, they're going to be way more relevant. But for a long time, I've just been using the Brute Alpha as just like a tank, because you could actually just use him as a plug-and-play tank on any other team, and he's pretty good. Like, you can use him to counter Galactic Legends, you can do all this stuff, because when the tank dies, as long as the Brute Alpha's still there, he can just summon another one. That's one of his abilities. So you want some speed on him, you want some health, and then the thing that I think is maybe understated, that people don't do enough, especially in the early game, is mod him for tenacity. Especially if you don't have a lot of good speed mods, put a lot of tenacity on him, because he doesn't have a really high base tenacity, but I mean, mean, 50 is something you can work with. Some people have like 0 to start with. But then if he's the lead, I believe, no, it's not the lead. It is the unique. Yeah, he just has a base 60 plus 60% tenacity. And so he's got in reality has a base of 110, and with tenacity sets, I mean, that's what, 20, 20, 20 for the different set bonuses, and then another 35 on top of that you can get, and then you can get secondaries, you can get him up to over 200 tenacity, which means if Vader is going to be your opponent's counter, unless Vader has like 150 potency, he's not going to be landing his dots very often, and it's going to be very difficult to kill this team. Like, I've seen really effective, just full tenacity set Geos, just because if Vader can't kill them, then you're going to have to use something else. There are other teams, obviously, that can kill them, but if you want Brood Alpha, the thing to keep in mind too, guys, and I didn't mention this, with the Hive Mind, everyone attacks at the same time, but they also share a damage pool. So like, if one guy gets hit, if they get one shot, then they're just dead. But if the next time an enemy takes a turn, then they are able, then all of the health and protection equalizes across the squad. So it's great for survivability. It's bad if you want to get max banners on a fight, because if someone hits one character and then all the health equalizes, then suddenly everyone is missing protection. So it can kind of be a mess. It is pretty effective, though. The Brood Alpha is also good at dispelling all buffs on opponents and cleansing all debuffs on his own squad. Really good character. Highly recommended, even if you don't want to get Geos as a squad. Just the Brood Alpha himself is pretty good. Plus, you get this really awkward ceremonial belt where you're just like, what exactly is he covering? Like, I don't want to know necessarily. It doesn't, like, is that an important part for them? Who knows? So the second... it's awkward to talk about, though, I'll tell you that. So the second most important Geo in this faction is the Spy, and the Spy's got a lot of interesting stuff. You want some crit chance to... Now, keep in mind, my mods on this team are not the greatest. I'm going to be optimizing them eventually, but it's going to be kind of a do as I say, not as I do thing. I mean, in general, you're going to want crit chance and crit damage, and then the thing about the Spy, there's like a hidden mechanic here. There's a few cool things. So the Hive Tactics, I mean, there's the Hive Mind. Whenever an enemy is exposed, they lose stealth if they had it. So that's cool. You can knock people out of stealth, which is nice. And then, let's see. Whenever a Geo ally inflicts a debuff on an enemy, Geo Spy gains 35% turn meter, which is crazy, actually. Well, during their turn, yeah. So, anyways, the Geo Spy starts in stealth, all of this stuff. The biggest thing, though, about the Spy, you want him to be in stealth as much as you can. And when you use this Silent Strike, obviously get the Omega on this character, but, so your entire team has been doing all these debuffs all the time. Characters are going to have a ton of debuffs. Your whole team is going to have a ton of buffs. And what's going to happen is all of those things and stealth on top of that are all going to be dispelled at the same time, and with this big hit. And it's going for everything that's dispelled, including stealth. They're going to be dealing 40% more damage for each effect dispelled this way. And so if the Spy has 4 buffs and the opponent that you're hitting has like 10 debuffs, you're going to be doing a ton of extra damage. I mean, that's like 400% extra damage just for his debuffs, and then you've got stealth and 4 buffs. I mean, 4 buffs might be unrealistic, but I mean, it's like 600% extra damage. I've seen Spy one-shot Galactic Legends. That actually happens. It legitimately does happen. And the thing to keep in mind here too is there's this hidden mechanic with Spy, and this is going off of some things that some advanced players have told me that exist. I haven't actually seen the proof, but I trust them because they do crazy things with Geos. Every time you go into stealth or regain stealth with Spy, it counts as a stack of stealth. And so if you go into stealth and then you re-stealth, then like on your next turn, then you get 2 stacks of stealth to whenever you do this silent strike. You get 2 stacks of it for 40% and another 40%. So if you can spool up your spy, if you really need to do a big hit, just do a couple basics with spy initially, as long as you're not going to get dispelled, because then all those stacks are going to go away. But those stacks of stealth are actually going to make you stronger. So, his ship is pretty good. We're not going to talk about ship. So next up is Geo Soldier. Really good with spy. Probably the best third character in a 3v3 team with Geo Brood Alpha, Spy, and the Soldier. Just because everyone gains all this extra defense penetration, which goes hand in hand with your spy just doing his annihilate move, essentially. And then you can call the spy to assist, so your spy is going to be doing more. He's going to be spooling it up. The assisting ally is Geo. Both attackers deal more damage, so that's good. With Hive Mind, you can actually choose your target. So like I said, spy is good. And then the biggest thing otherwise is on basic, he gets tenacity down. And so if you're facing like Nest or something, Nest will maybe be really tough to kill because of the protection and everything that she's getting. And so how can you deal with her? You can potentially daze her eventually. Even if she has super high tenacity, get tenacity down, just shoot her once with Geo Soldier, which means have any character do a move and have everyone else assist against her. She'll get tenacity down, and then you can land any number of debuffs on her, including ability block, which is also really good. Daze is probably the way to shut Nest down, but Poggle is the one with ability block. He's got on basic ability block, which is nice. If you're countering this team, you have to be really careful of Poggle because he can evade like crazy. That's one of his uniques. 5% evasion for each other ally with Hive Mind. So that's going to be, he's going to have whatever his evasion is normally, plus an extra 30, because remember, you have the Brute as the 6th character. He'll have Hive Mind as well. And then allies without Hive Mind also have plus 25% offense. He's really good in 3v3 as an independent Separatist leader. Really strong. One thing to keep in mind, guys, if you're trying to clean up a Supreme Leader Kylo team with Geos, take Poggle out. Even though you want to ability block him, the Hive Mind bonus will really just screw you, because every single time you hit, your allies are removing 1% turn meter from him, and that increases his health and protection by such a huge margin that you eventually just, after a couple times of the Geos hitting him, he's going to have such a huge amount of health and protection that you can't actually conceivably kill him. He's just going to balloon out so bad. So, and then you'll either time out, or more likely you'll die. So leave him out if you're countering Kylo. Otherwise, I mean, you can do this to Rey, and that's nice. I really like Geos to finish off like Sith Eternal Emperor, just because he doesn't have any weird interactions like that. You can actually get him ability blocked, and then if you ability block him forever, he's not going to be able to use his ultimate ability. Like, he'll go into ult, but then he can't use his big fry everyone with lightning from the sky epicness. So that's pretty cool. He also has a dispel, so if you're using something to counter this team and you stun a few people, you're like, yeah, I'm feeling good, make sure one of those is Poggle, or either he needs to be ability blocked or stunned or something, because otherwise he's just going to dispel everyone. He's going to give everyone offense up, which is nice. That offense up is going to play directly into the spy doing spy crazy things. Poggle can actually be pretty beefy. Remember, everyone's got a shared health pool, so I don't have him modded this way. I have him modded for a little bit of speed. Mostly I mean, he's pretty worthlessly modded. I did put potency on him just so he could land that ability block more consistently. So that potency cross is nice. Get him up to 92. That's cool. Otherwise, speed is pretty good. I know that some people actually make their Poggle faster than their Brood Alpha, so that you can do some crazy things. Like, you can get offense up on everyone, and then everyone's just immediately hitting harder, etc. So you can do cool stuff. And if you want, you can get his health pool up over 70k if you wanted to do that. So he's pretty cool. Sunfac, he is basically just a really cool tank. He's the one who can daze. Remember not to use the Spiteful Strike, because this makes him taunt. He's a tank, and he let's see, is this the one where he taunts? or maybe it's subjugate. Okay, it's subjugate, where he taunts. You don't want him to taunt. You want everyone to be hitting your brute the whole time, because you can regrow your brute. You can't regrow your Sunfac. Otherwise, on basic, he dispels buffs. So if someone's taunting, no more. Like, just have everyone attack, and you're good to go. And that's Geos in a nutshell, guys. Let's talk about other Separatists, though, because we have lots more to talk about in terms of them. So, first off, Django. He is maybe the most sought-after character in the world right now, just because he goes with so many different factions that are relevant. So, he's a good bounty hunter. There's no mistaking it. He is going to be good with Mandos eventually. He's a scoundrel, so he can actually just go with like Kira lead, for instance. And then he's also a Separatist, which Separatist, man, talk about someone who's buffed by the new tag that he gets. It's crazy. Let me get a drink. So one complaint I have is with the new Jedi Kenobi, or Master Kenobi, release, everyone's going to have a Relic 7 Django, and believe me, I don't want to deal with that. He is amazing. I don't want everyone to just have him. I'd rather them like intentionally gear him, because I don't want to just get taken out in threes. He is crazy. So what happens is when you're with Separatists, he gains his payout, and his payout is super nice. Like, it's tough to get sometimes if you're with bounty hunters, but he immediately gets 50% offense with extra, which is nice, and then he's damage immune, so he can't be killed immediately on this team, and so if you play it right, you're almost guaranteed to get a few hits in. He's really good, actually, in like the Rancor raid, for instance. If your guild needs a few extra big hits and you're like running out of steam, you're in a smaller guild, you can run Django with any Separatist lead. They don't even have to have a leadership, just a Separatist lead, and then he'll have damage immunity, so he'll just be hanging out. Rancor will go crazy. He'll take a turn, do his nuke, he'll eventually die, but if you do that 50 times, it adds up to some good damage. So he's pretty good. If you want to mod him well, you're going to want to put, so he has extra health in his unique, so yeah, plus 50% max health, which is nice. So you want to take advantage of that, just to stack as much health as you can. So health here. Everywhere else, though, needs to be damage. So crit damage, offense, etc. If you could find some potency is nice. I even have an arrow here on his offense. I do think, or an offense arrow here. I do it. It's plus 24, so that's pretty good. If you can't find a pretty fast arrow, I would actually recommend speed on him, just because he does want to be pretty quick in most circumstances. And that's about it. He's pretty simple, like any other fighter. If you can get potency, it's nice, just because that conflagration, you can target, if they're debuffed, they'll lose 25% max health, which is super nice, but it does require a check. You have to pass the potency check. I haven't really focused on that too much. Not at all. 7.1, that's incidental. But if you can squeeze that on, that is wonderful. Relic 8 is actually something I'm going to do with him as soon as I can, once this Kenobi madness is done. Really good. One thing other to keep in mind that a lot of people don't realize is, at least early on, his unique is one of the best Zetas in the game. It is so good. His unique Zeta. Lead Zeta, you can take it or leave it. Like, really don't waste your Zeta on it. You're probably not going to use it that much. His leader does do cool things, but even without that Zeta, it's plus 30 speed, and on all scoundrel allies. So you can actually boost other teams that are scoundrels, or other characters that are scoundrels, like Han and Chewie. With him would be plus 30 speed, which I don't know why you'd need that, but if you need a boost with your bounty hunters, etc. The thing that I'm talking about, though, the Zeta that is really good, is on his turn, enemies that are defeated on his turn can't be revived. So that actually means that he doesn't even have to be the one to hit him. If there's a mechanic involved where like, for instance, if B1 is assisting him, which I don't remember. Does B1 assist him? Probably. But one way or another, if someone assists him during his turn, and then that character dies, that they can't be revived. That it is, especially early game, it's good. 3v3, it's especially good. He can ignore, he has the Bounty Hunter's Resolve, so he ignores taunts. He is just one of the best characters out there. I love Django. Relic 7, Relic 8 him. Put good 6E mods on him. You will not be disappointed. Now, Watt is maybe the best character in the entire faction, just because he's so flexible. He doesn't do any attacks. But he can do a lot of things. I mean, obviously, he's used to counter Galactic Legends a lot, on a lot of different teams. He can babysit your Sith Eternal Emperor to be able to kill Rey. He can make your Vader team really good, so Vader can kill Rey. You can just do a lot of fun things with him, and you can make him force a taunt on a character so that character always taunts, and then no one can actually kill them because it's regenerating their health. You can give someone something to regenerate or to gain extra turn meter. He can do so much, guys. It is well documented how good he is. I love him. You should watch some of my videos if you don't know how to use him, if you don't see. Like, I use him every single match on offense. Don't keep him on defense, guys. Some people do that. I think he's just too flexible to be relegated to the bench at any point. So, just really good transcendent character. If you want him to be modded best, you're going to want health and protection to keep him alive because he doesn't have his own attacks. And then I would advise putting potency on him as much as I can. I know that these are offense sets. This isn't ideal, but ideally you'd have a potency cross and a potency triangle. You want him as fast as you can, within reason, so speed sets, and then at extra potency. If I had that extra, 15% potency, it would be nice, just so I could land more dots, damage over times with the Vader comp, so that Vader can have an easier time demolishing his foes as well. As it is, 80% potency is decent, at least if they're not modded for tenacity. If they're modded for tenacity, then you can kind of throw that out. But anyways, speed, then as much potency as you can, and protection and health as you can. As you can see, like, health is fine. Probably put defense 6E on him too. I don't know. I didn't do it. So don't feel like you have to, I guess. Okay, Dooku. He's the guy, if I had to kick one person out of this faction, well, I think that would be Droidica, but if I had to kick another person out, it might be Dooku anyways on the first pass, because it's like he's almost there. We have Relic 6 on him because he's required for Sith Eternal. That's cool. He's fun. He can stun. He can do stuff. Like, I don't mind having him relicked. It's disappointing. I wish that he did more damage. His modifiers are just not good. He does things like, if you put his Zeta on him, I think it's his Zeta, he starts being able to hit underneath protection, which is cool. Like, it hits health, and then what happens is so when he starts hitting characters that are below their health, then he immediately applies tenacity down and healing immunity on them, and they can't be resisted, so they just like appear on that character. So what happens is he hits someone underneath their protection, like he just hits their health directly, and so they fall below 100% health, and then immediately they have tenacity down and healing immunity, so you can start putting all the debuffs. It's a pretty cool mechanic in some ways, but in other ways, like, it's just almost too hard to make it happen. You have to have him fast, you have to have him have a lot of potency, and still, so he's Relic 6. I know that I don't have the best mods on him, but these stats are not great for a Relic 6 character. He will just get one-shotted immediately. 296, you probably want him at 300 speed at least. If you're going to use him a lot, you're going to want him at 320 speed or something like that, because what the mechanic you want to build teams around for him is this riposte. So he goes first, he puts everyone in stealth except for people who are tanks. So all Separatists, I should say, go into stealth except for tanks, and then like that effectively makes it so that even if you don't have a tank on your team, like, you can put Nest with him and what'll happen is Nest will effectively be tanking because everyone else will be in stealth, and that's why you want him to be fast, because then all the non-tank Separatist allies gain 15% turn meter as well, so then they're going to start taking their turns. They get stealth for 2 turns. It's kind of cool. It is neat. He can also stun lock characters. Like, he's a decent character. Like I said, I like him. I feel like he's too squishy, and he's too, I don't know, if they made him faster, that would be great. If you made him hit harder, if he just needs one of those things to actually work. As it stands, he can go with, like I said, the Eternal team on defense or something. Not that you want to do that, but you could. He's okay. He's also Sith, which is handy. You know, he's one of those throw-in characters, and having him Relic 6 is just kind of weird. So it does make him actually kind of usable. All right, Droidica. He's almost not a droid, frankly. He almost doesn't go with the droids, but we're not going to talk about him here, just like I said. So Asajj is, maybe she would be one of the characters I would kick out of Separatists as well, just because she goes with Night Sisters, frankly. She doesn't go with Separatists. Sometimes you can do a cross thing with, like, Asajj and Zombie plus Dooku in 3v3 or something. That does work a little bit, but if you want to mod Asajj, real quick, on Dooku, if you want to mod him, potency and speed are good. If you want to make him be a little bit sneaky, put tenacity on him so that people can't daze him. But either way, if someone's hitting him, then he's probably going to die, so who cares? Asajj, you want crit damage on her. You don't need crit chance because if you're with Night Sisters, you're going to be spooling up her damage anyways. With Rampage, all of her kit is designed to go with Night Sisters. In general, she's not really worthy of discussion with Separatists. It is nice, though, sometimes, like I said, you can throw her in with other Separatists, or you could even do something like, well, I need to use Django somewhere. I guess I'll just throw Asajj in as lead so that Django immediately gets his contract. You could do something like that. Like I said, though, all of her stuff goes with Night Sisters, so kind of irrelevant there. B1 is really good, B2 is really good, so is Spy, Magna Guard, all these characters. Now Newt, in 3v3, I call him Galactic Legend Newt because he is so powerful. He's got the Extortion, which causes % health damage to characters. It slows them down. It speeds up other characters on his team. If they pay the Extortion, it makes them stronger. If they don't pay it, or it makes the Separatists stronger. If they don't pay it, then they start dispelling their own buffs. You start being able to call mass assists on them. He is vicious. As the leader, he is especially good. In 3v3 is really good. 5v5 it loses a little in translation. If you're facing Newt, you want to pay that Extortion almost always. Sometimes, if he's not the lead, you can defer it a little bit because it doesn't pass, but if you just make a move and Extortion is on you, and you don't dispel the Extortion, then the Extortion goes on to another character, and everyone gets slower again. It hurts your team significantly. I see streamers do it all the time where they're like, no, I just gotta kill these guys. I'm just gotta ignore Extortion, ignore it, and then they die because of Extortion. It is an amazingly pervasive ability. Really love him. In 3s, it is so tough to get rid of all the Extortion because he goes so fast. Every time he applies it, he just goes fast, and then when you kill him, he comes back to life. He is an annoying guy. He doesn't have a nose. Like, a lot of things to hate about him, but he is quite good. In 3v3 especially. 5v5, I think we're going to see more teams with him. If you put him on a droid team, actually, so he's going to be in the Separatist droid team category when we do that, Faction Essentials. If you put him with the droids, it makes it so that, like, Supreme Leader Kylo can't actually solo that team anymore. He shuts down the Night Sisters, comp, all this stuff. Really good character. I'm actually embarrassed. I should have him at higher relics. Relic 1 is not enough, but get him 2 relics. Gear 11 and Gear 12, he's super, super easy to kill. He's still a little easy to kill at Gear 13, but those Gear 12 pieces make him significantly stronger. All of those things are all give him, like, I think he gains like 60, or not 60, I think he gains like 30 or 40k health just in pieces. Like, it's crazy. So get him to Gear 13 at least. Maybe throw a few relics on him. Don't need too much, but make him fast as well. That's how you mod him. Fast, and just throw in random other extra mods, I guess. Like potency doesn't matter. Really, the only stat for him that matters at all, survivability, of course, and then speed. Get him over 300 speed if you can. Now, I think that's it, guys, in terms of actual characters here and their modding. One thing I do want to point out, I didn't say it before, if you want to mod your soldier well, put all crit chance on him. All the crit chance, like all three sets are going to be crit chance. He needs all the crits you can do. So, let me show you a couple squads here. Oops. You guys can see that. I think I already published the video by the time you guys have seen it. But, alright, so Separatists in 5v5, in general, they're going to have a tough time fielding a full cohesive unit. Other than Geos, obviously you're going to run them all together. If you're going to take out... if you're going to try to take out a Galactic Legend, maybe take Poggle out and add Thrawn. Or if you want to, if it's not Supreme Leader Kylo, you could also, instead of taking Poggle out, you could take Sunfac out, add Thrawn. You want that Fracture if you can, just to hold their hands behind their backs. And then Geos, I mean, I've seen Geos kill full race squads before. If you mod them well, if you know what you're doing, still RNG related, but it can happen. They're just a robust, cool squad. Otherwise, if you want to run a Newt squad, then you can do something weird like this. So Newt is lead, always Newt is lead. His lead is just so strong with Separatists. You can put Django in there, you have Droidica, just because... so what's going to happen with this squad here, no one's a tank, so if you make Dooku fast, then he's going to hide stealth everyone on the team except for Nest, who's not a Separatist, and then it's annoying to try to hit Nest because she hits back and she's really tough to kill, except for like over the long course of time. And so like this team can then operate with impunity for a while, but you have to have a faster Dooku in order for that to happen. So this team can be good, like Django's good, Droidica can nuke people, like this team has legs. You have to have a faster Dooku, maybe even a faster Newt to make that work. So otherwise, guys, Watt goes with all kinds of different teams. You can make a Vader team, like I mentioned. You can have Watt go with Vader. You can make him go with First Order. You can make him go with Grievous. All of these things. He is a plug-and-play character. Amazing results with all of these teams. Making it so that you can deny revives with that weapons tech, giving all the health regeneration, all of the taunting tech, like one of the best characters out there. I didn't fill in the rest of these because they're kind of variable, but Watt can go with any number of teams. In 3v3, one of my favorite teams is Newt with Django, and then L3, because Newt is actually a scoundrel, and so is Django, so if one of them gets debuffed, and then L3 gets hit, L3 passively dispels any of those, or cleanses any of those debuffs, and so, they just have a lot of really good synergy. L3 pre-taunts, Django destroys people. I was going to say pre-destroys, but that doesn't make sense, so he does just normal destroy people, though, it's pretty normal. So otherwise, the best Geo comps. One thing, a lot of people get stuck on wanting to use these three, like the Brood Alpha plus Spy and Soldier. Probably the best combo, just because Soldier goes so well with Spy. But if you need a dispel, if you need to kill someone, but they have a pre-taunt or something, there's not any of that. Like, I guess Brood Alpha can dispel, but that's only one time, and then you have to reset your cooldowns. Instead, you want to have you can bring Sunfac along, and on his basic, he'll help shoot and dispel things. So that can be good. Now, I don't know why I made a Grievous squad here. Just I think just to show, because you use the standard Grievous squad in 3s, but then you have leftovers because you have the extra droids, and Poggle goes so well with droids. Check out his kit with droids. So as the leader, so that they don't have hive mind here, but they have Separatists have plus 30% offense. Droid allies recover extra health. So in this case, like B1 obviously doesn't, but Droidica can heal every time whenever they attack out of turn or damage a target locked enemy. So Droidica is going to be healing quite a bit because he attacks out of turn if you put his Zeta on. And then also, Hive Mind doesn't matter, but he has extra evasion. Separatist allies without Hive Mind have plus 25% offense, which is crazy with B1 and with anyone, really, with any of the Separatist characters that we have here. And then they gain an additional 25% offense for each defeated ally. So if you go and kill Droidica, then this team is good. And now keep in mind, though, because they'll keep the leadership ability, the plus 30% offense, that if he dies, the Hive tactics go away, just because it's a special, or it's a unique to him that he's impacting the squad. So anyways, this squad is really good. It can be soloed by Nest, so be careful if you're scouting your opponent. Here's the random, like, Dooku with the Asajj and Zombie. I don't necessarily love this team, but it's an option. If you want to use Dooku somewhere, you can do that. Otherwise, with Watt in 3v3, you can... my favorite use of him, so he goes with Sith Eternal just fine. He babysits Sith Eternal great. He's wonderful with him to make him be able to counter all the Galactic Legends besides Kylo. But otherwise, if you don't have to use him there, you can use armor a lot of times in 3v3 for it. Otherwise, he goes really well with like a crew team, crew and Fox. So what'll happen here is you put the taunt on crew, who has a pre-taunt anyways, but then he can't be dispelled. He's really tanky and tough to kill. You can dispel things with Watt if they put ability, or if they put the not ability block, the buff immunity on him, then the guy can't taunt anymore. But Watt can dispel that. You can put the weapons tech on First Order Executioner, so he's ignoring armor, he's ignoring revives, or disallowing revives. And his natural kit is, if you have someone really tough to take out, he ramps up damage. So if you're trying to take out like a lone Malak, for instance, First Order Executioner will eventually, like, he can't kill the Malak like on his own without the kit, I guess, but he ramps up damage so much that he eventually will one-shot characters. The other team that I find a lot of joy in, I know that most people don't have a relic Stormtrooper Han, but I really enjoy Stormtrooper Han here as the lead because you can put the taunt on him, put Wampa here to be able to ignore revives. Then he doesn't miss. He does a lot of damage. He can hide behind Stormtrooper Han, and if you put him at Relic 7 with a Zeta, every time Han gets hit, he's also healing his own protection. So he's healing his protection. Watt's giving him a 30% protection regen every time Han takes a turn. And if you taunt with Han, now keep in mind the Watt taunt on Han doesn't actually trigger the special that Han gives to give bonus turn meter to his allies, but it does give him it does let him taunt, of course, but when he does actually taunt on his own, as long as that taunt isn't dispelled, then Wampa is going to go into overdrive and start taking a ton of turns, as long as he's not dazed or something. So just some good uses for Watt. Again, if you want to see Watt used, watch any of my videos. I use him every single match. He is an amazing character. So that being said, folks, I'm going to call it good. I hope you enjoyed. Gosh, this kind of took a while, but this is Separatists are great, and I would love to hear what kind of teams you guys use for your Separatists in the comments below. Please remember to leave a like or sub. Those are two things you can do for free to support the channel. Would really appreciate it. Really does help get the algorithm going, etc. So, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zereth prevails.